You have a life. You can be in the gym 6 days a week, but here's how to grow anyway. You don't need daily workouts to make progress. You simply just need to train smarter. That's pretty much it. And listen, like my life has gotten busy within the past 2-3 years, man. My life has just gotten busier. I have more responsibilities. And like I said at the beginning of all my videos, if you are a reoccurring watcher, reoccurring viewer, the gym is about mental energy. It's not really about having time. It's really about mental energy. I have less energy to go to the gym. I like going 5 days a week. I am a gym rat. That's what I like to do. And I think you should get to the point where you're a gym rat. But let's talk about going to the gym 3 days a week, because you probably have to dial back in the gym. You're probably in an extreme season. If you watch my videos and you actually follow my principles, or if you're in my course, you probably understand the concept of extreme seasons. You probably want to learn how to dial back in the gym so that you can allocate more of your mental resources to other things, because let's just be honest, muscle is not the most important thing in life. It's not. Now, by golly, do I love it, man, because I know people think I look fine and that's really dope and all, but it's not the most important thing. It's not cool when you're broke, and it's not cool if you're struggling with mental health. It's not. So how can you dial back on the gym while actually still maintaining your gains and actually being more effective? And I think this video is going to be very valuable for you, because you probably as a beginner aren't really aware of this, because you have the wrong idea about how to reach the right intensity, how to grow, how to actually build that overall silhouette and to become more aesthetic. I'm going to talk about it in this video. But in case you don't know me, my name's Chike and I've lived it for 11 years. I struggle with fitness. I've gotten a lot of arrows in my back. I'm just a gym rat at heart. If I were to put my mind, if someone were to take my brain and to put it into your son's head, and your son basically was me, your son would be jacked. Your son would be swole. I don't know why I decided to say that right now, but your son would probably be a D1 athlete. Well, maybe not. I'm not really that athletic, but damn, he'd be strong. If you were to put my brain into your skull right now and you got it back in a year, you would see a six-pack, abs and shoulders and a chest. You would, and glutes and legs. You would see all that stuff, because I'm just a gym rat at heart and I've been lifting since I was 14 years old. But as life gets busier, as I have more responsibilities, I'm active duty military now. I'm also doing YouTube. I'm making a course on the side. I have a busy social life. I have to make sure that I'm managing my finances right, and I'm still hitting the gym. And I'm at an advanced level, so counting calories is actually more important for me than it is for the average guy. I gotta freaking eat my second meal of the day. It's 11, and then I still have 2 more meals afterwards. Who's meal prepping it for me? I don't have a wife. I don't have a maid. I do it all. I manage everything in my life. How do I do it? Because I've made tons of mistakes, and I've gotten a shit ton of arrows in my back, and I'm trying to keep you from getting the arrows in your back. Right now, I'm learning right now on my journey, but my goal on this channel is to, one, turn you into a gym rat, because you really not finna get swole or look good at all unless you become a gym rat and you're willing to stick to it for 10 years and up the intensity and be fucking intense and serious to stop being a loser and to actually put more weight on the bar. So that's one. It's kind of 2-in-1, but that's one. And number 2, it's all about maintaining and managing your mental energy, because that ties in with consistency. You're not going to become a gym rat unless you learn how to manage your energy with the gym. You like the gym, it's just that you have other thorns in your life that are preventing you from loving it. It's preventing you from liking the gym. How can you manage those thorns and those responsibilities in your life so that you can actually realize who you truly are, and that's a gym rat? And that's what we're going to talk about, how to make gains in just 3 days a week. And the first one I want to say is, we'll just work out 3 days a week. Pick 3 days a week that you'd rather go to the gym. If you have a job 9 to 5, which obviously if you're subscribed to me, you most likely do, because that's really what this niche is catered towards. Pick a time that you would rather go. Pick a time where you have the most mental energy. For beginners, I always recommend the morning, because when you eat the frog in the morning, you do the most daunting task at the beginning of your day. You're more prone to get it done sooner. That's just how the brain works. There's this concept basically called brain points. You have all of your brain points at the dawn of waking up. Going to the gym for you, if it's a task that you actually dread, straight in the morning, right before work, is the way to go. And that's also a great way to basically beat traffic through the gym into, like, maybe the gym's too busy and there's a shit ton of people there and all this stuff, and there's that weird guy that keeps shadow boxing in the gym, sweating in you everywhere in the Planet Fitness. So it's a great way to avoid all that dumbass shit. But pick 3 days a week. The second thing is, increase the sets and decrease the reps. Increase the sets but decrease the reps. Start going to do 8 rep ranges. start doing heavier weights and doing lower sets. The reason why you want to do that is because, well, number one, it saves time. It saves time. And number two, you get to the right intensity faster. You have a better definition of what is intense for you, if that makes sense. So if you're the guy who's doing 15, 20 reps and you're doing 3 or 4 sets, that's cool. But the reason why working out like that may actually be kind of shitty, well, it's because you're doing too much to get to intensity. You can get to the right intensity in just 8 reps if you just add more weight and you do heavier weight. Not only that, but when you do too many reps, you're actually training more so muscle endurance. People have a misunderstanding. They think bigger muscles have more muscle endurance. Maybe so. I'm not gonna say whether or not they do because I'll be honest, I don't know. But training muscle endurance and hypertrophy, they're 2 different things. When you're going super high rep, you're doing 20 reps, 30 reps, 40 reps, 50 reps, 60 reps. You're just trying to see how long it takes for your muscle to get tired. That's why in the military, when you see different military programs of like different countries and everyone knows like and militarized structures and training programs that you see online or even in different countries, maybe like fucking Thailand or whatever. They're doing a bunch of calisthenics workouts and movements, right? Because muscular endurance is designed to keep you alive. But those guys aren't really like big. They're not like jacked and symmetrical. They're not actually changing the physique of their body. Even if they bulked up and added food in, yeah, they'll probably get bigger, but they're still training more so muscular endurance. Hypertrophy is really 8 to 12 rep range. And I talk more about this in my video when it comes down to intensity, but just increasing the amount of weight that you do and lowering the reps and doing a more strength bias build where you do 8 reps for compound exercises, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And then just increasing the load by 10 pounds every single set. That's going to help you get to that intensity a lot faster. It's going to build self-efficacy, confidence, and you're going to have a way sharper definition of your limits. So then when you have a sharper definition of your limits, you waste less time in the gym because you know now that you could actually press the dumbbells with 80 pounds for 6 reps and 8 reps and be fine. So you're not going to be working your way up with the dang on 35s and shit. You're going to just jump to the 50s for a warm up, and then you're going to go to the 60s and then go from 60 to 75 to 80 and then try and do 85. Not even really focusing too much on the amount of sets, but just increasing the weight and lowering the reps. If you just focus on that, don't worry about sets, worry about intensity. And I'm going to rant a little bit. I'm going to kind of butcher this point a lot more real quick. The guys that be worrying about sets in the gym, I don't really understand it. I never really worried about sets. Do you get to the right intensity or not? That's the point. The things that dictate intensity, in my opinion, sets do play a role, but I think the biggest factors is the reps and the weight. So up the weight, lower the reps, save yourself time, build confidence, build the ego, and get the fuck out. Now, if you're looking to gain overall mass, which you probably are, you're looking to basically get bigger. Prioritize compound lifts over isolating lifts. I recommend if you're trying to do the bare minimum, you work out 3 times a day and you do 3 workouts. That's like the bare minimum that you do. Not 3 times a day, 3 times a week, and then 3 workouts. That's like the bare minimum that you can do. I'd recommend just picking 3 compound lifts or doing 2 compound lifts and then a body weight lift. That's what I would do. And the reason why you want to do compound lifts is because compound lifts, it builds overall size. If you see my back, if you see my chest, my shoulders and all this stuff, my shoulders got big because of compound lifts. You saw my shoulder videos and I said that it's not compound lifts that grow your shoulders. What I mean is it builds the overall size, but what makes it shapely like this. The reason when people are saying, oh, how do I get bigger shoulders? You're not actually asking how to get bigger shoulders. You're looking to how to get more sculpted shoulders. How do my delts look so damn big and all this stuff? It's because of those isolating exercises to look more shapely. But to build your overall frame and your size, your overall silhouette, you want to focus on compound lifts, especially as a beginner right now. And if you're a guy who's trying to do the bare minimum, you're not really too focused on volume. Volume is the greatest thing that you can do to get big. You need more volume to get stronger. But again, volume is basically hitting more sets per week, but you're trying to dial back on fitness right now. Otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video. So you can't focus on volume. So you basically have to get as much as you can out of your workouts as possible. So that's getting as much intensity as you can. So lower the amount of reps, do 8 reps and increase the weight incrementally by 10 pounds every time you do a set, and then just focus on compound exercises for your split. So what are some practical ways to implement this? How can I practically explain this to you so that you could put this in practice right after watching this video? I would do a push-pull leg split because that's just what makes sense to me. Pick your split and make sure it's a split that you can do 3 days a week. For your push days, do pressing movements and then dips. That's what I would do. Do pressing movements, so overhead press for your shoulders, incline press for your chest, or a DB flat press for your chest. Your split's not gonna be perfect. You're not gonna be able to hit everything because you're just doing 3 days a week. Now, if you wanna do 4 workouts or 5 workouts because you have more time, do all the press variations. Do the DB flat press, the incline press, and then also do the overhead military press. Use dumbbells for all these movements and stick to the 8 rep range and increase the weight incrementally by 5 to 10 pounds when you do these movements. That's what you need to do. At least 10 pounds. If you feel like you're getting closer to your limit, do 5 pounds and then finish off with dips. And the reason calisthenics movements are important is because that's what burns fat. That's what actually keeps you looking good. That actually kind of gives you that V taper, sort of like that lean athletic build. We're not trying to look like strongmen. We're not trying to look like these strongmen that you see that are like 600 pounds. We're trying to look like lean superheroes, Marvel Rivals looking ass characters. That's how we trying to look. So you have to do calisthenics. If I was doing a push day, a pull day, what I would do is I'd prioritize rows, any sort of pulling movement like rows, bent rows, cable rows, any sort of rows. Those are compound lifts that are mandatory if you're trying to build your back as a beginner. I don't do them anymore because I use other machines now. I'm just beyond the point of actually needing that. But what I would do is also incorporate pull-ups. Pull-ups is calisthenics in its body weight, but pull-ups also count as a compound movement because it works so many different parts. And that's why calisthenics is low-key necessary for every split if you're trying to build size and become aesthetic, because it works so many different parts of the body doing these movements and builds real strength. And like I say, when you build ability, when you build upon your abilities and you focus on your performance and what you can do as a human being as a whole, that's when you start to look better. Think about the physique you'd have if you were able to do muscle ups and dips and pull-ups and you were able to run fast and run for a long time and lift a lot of weight at the same time. What do you think your body will look like? You wouldn't look like a fat ass. You wouldn't. You wouldn't look skinny. That's not how you would look. You would look somewhat more like this. So focus on those things. But focus on compound movements. Any sort of rows or any pull-ups is good. And then you can add an isolating movement on your pull day of like bicep curls. And then that's pretty much it for your pull day. Now for your leg day, any squat or leg pressing motion, any squat, like the squat, back squat, front squat, Zercher squats, whatever you like. I don't really front squat or Zercher squat anymore. I used to front squat a lot. I just haven't done that in a while. Back squats are just cooler for me. I just like them. Zercher squats, it hurts my arm gooch. I don't like the way it feels. So that's just is what it is. But any sort of leg pressing motion, squatting motion, and then finish off with some hamstring or leg extension work and glute work. That's what you want to do. Leg press squatting motion, glutes, any sort of glute workout, RDLs, Bulgarian split squats, and then hamstrings or quads. Why didn't I not mention calves? Is because you're doing a bare minimum workout. If you want to do everything, then you need to just increase the amount of workouts you're willing to do. But the reason I'm making these workouts so small is because I'm trying to sympathize with you and understand that, and I'm framing it as if you don't have a whole lot of time in your life. Because I know there are people who will enter seasons of life where they literally don't have time for anything. I've been there. It's real. But what's stopping you from the gym is mental energy, not time, because you don't really need a whole lot of time to build a good physique. You just need to stay consistent. Again, I'm going to recap here, rule of thumb, 3 days a week, make a split, try to get at least 2 compound lifts in one of those days, and then 1 body weight lift, or you can do 3 compound lifts on those days. If you don't have enough compound lifts that you can do, like for example, on your pull day, the main compound lifts are pull-ups in rows, and then pull-ups is already body weight. So what other compound lift could you do? Well, sure, yeah, you could do deadlift. Deadlift is a great one to do, but when it comes down to building overall size and getting aesthetic, I don't really feel like deadlift is really up there personally. Maybe I could be wrong, but I have this physique and I still agree with that. I don't really deadlift that often. In my deadlift, I can deadlift 500 pounds. So whatever, but do curls. You can add an isolating movement if that's the case, if all this makes sense. If you want a more consolidated message and you want to understand how to basically build your physique and to manage a 9 to 5 and do all this stuff and follow everything that I talk about in my videos, I have a program in the top link of the description. But if you want to just learn more and just get basic principles every 2 days and to just learn for free, you can go ahead and click on this video. But I'm telling you right now, it doesn't take you that much to build a physique. If you can stay consistent, prioritize compound lifts, and maximize intensity, and you don't have to be like these dicks who tell you you have to do 20 plus reps, you're fine. That's it. Maximize intensity, prioritize compound lifts, make sense of it, stick to the split, and then just stop being an asshole to yourself. Stop acting like everything's such a big deal. If you want to learn more, go ahead and click on this video. Goodbye.